What's good guys, my name is Oleg Nikitin, you're watching No Limit Zone channel from Russia with love, and actually this time from Morocco with love, and I hope that you will enjoy the views of Morocco. Last time I did a comparison of iPhone 13 Pro Max and Galaxy S21 Ultra in terms of video, and today we're having a very tight comparison in terms of stills of those two devices. And I guess this time Samsung has much more chances. Also guys, once again, I'm not being paid by Apple or Samsung, I'm just comparing two pictures on my iMac 5K and comment those to my own taste. Let's start off with the ultra-wide lens. We see basically identical pictures. It's a little bit different in terms of color of the sky. Samsung is a touch more cyan, and the Apple is kind of closer to the real life, what I saw with my own eyes. But all in all, if we look at it without zooming in, it's almost the same. When we zoom in a ton, we can see a little more digital sharpening on the iPhone and slightly better dynamic range in the shadows of the Samsung, but it's negligible, like 2 or 3%. And now the main camera, once again there is almost no difference. This is not 108 megapixel photo, we'll have a look at it later. I'm staring at those pictures for like a minute and I can't see a real difference. Maybe Samsung is a touch sharper, like 1 or 2%. And now the 3x telephoto camera, we can see that iPhone has 77mm and the Samsung has 70mm telephoto camera. When we zoom in, we can see that maybe Samsung is a touch sharper, but all of the differences between those cameras are just negligible. And now digital crop in with the iPhone 10x and 10x camera on the Samsung, which is much better of course, but still I can see some weird haloing on the Samsung, which I don't really like. And when we zoom in even more, we can see the difference in detail, but I don't really think that a lot of people are zooming in that close. And now the famous 108 megapixels of the Samsung versus 12 megapixel on the iPhone. Without cropping in, I can see a slight advantage of the Samsung, but also I can see more noise in the sky, in the blue part. And when we zoom in 10 times, we can definitely see the difference of those resolutions. But do you really zoom in this close every picture? And now let's compare the main camera once again with and without 108 megapixel mode. In the regular mode, we can see that it's a little bit more sharp on the Samsung, and also we have better dynamic range as far as I can say. And when we switch to 108 megapixels, we cannot really tell the difference without zooming in. When we zoom in, we do see a dramatic difference, but still we have a ton of noise, especially in the sky, which I don't really like, and also a little bit of haloing on the contrasting edges. One more ultra-wide shot, if we zoom in we can see that iPhone is getting a little more detail and more noise as well. The main camera angle, kind of identical pictures, when we zoom in it's also looking pretty similar, maybe a touch more noise on the iPhone. And on the 3x camera the iPhone is sharper, you can definitely see the letters of Atlas Studio better on the iPhone. And one more ultra-wide shot, the main camera shot, the telephoto 3x shot, and 10x shot with digital crop on the iPhone. By the way, on this shot I do prefer the Samsung's picture and the dynamic range of it. On those pictures we can also say that Samsung has a little better dynamic range, but all the pictures are very similar, and to be honest you wouldn't be able to tell one from another if you just didn't know the names of the cameras. Ultra-wide camera of the iPhone 13 Pro Max can focus really closely, much closer than the Samsung's ultra-wide or any camera, and we do have the macro mode on the iPhone. Actually, it's not the best representation of the macro. I do have a separate video explaining the macro capabilities and comparing it to a proper macro 105mm full-frame lens. You can check it out in the video description below. In terms of portrait modes, both cameras are doing okay job. If we pixel peep, we can see that the hair on Katyusha's neck are treated differently. We have some hair detail on the iPhone and we completely have the blurred out hair on the Samsung. Also look at the right part of her face. Samsung is kinda strange in terms of background separation right here, and also Samsung is kinda softening the skin and then adding the sharpness, which I don't like. And now 3x telephoto portrait mode. It's looking pretty decent to my eye, and actually I do prefer the colors of the iPhone, a little less magenta, and it would be good. And now the selfie camera without portrait mode, it's kind of identical, maybe Samsung is adding a touch more sharpness, and with the portrait mode we occasionally get some weird results. Look at my right ear, or left ear, you got me, and it's kind of strange, especially with the Samsung. One more shot. Here we look at hair separation, and I do prefer the Samsung's picture, but the right part of the Samsung's picture is kinda less blurry than the left part of it, which is strange to my eye. On this shot we are just flat of the iPhone, and I do prefer the contrast and kinda 3D effect of the Samsung. We're not that flat. And also Samsung did better in terms of background separation. Look at my ear right here. On this shot we see that the shutter speed was longer on the Samsung and the face is kind of blurry, and also we get a strange shape of the head because it's kind of stretching out and distorts the body, which I don't like. Now let's have a look at low light performance. This room was very dark, guys. Look how much more noise we have on the iPhone 13 Pro Max, and also the dynamic range. We have less blown out highlights, especially in this part of the image, so Samsung is the best here. On the main camera module we still see better dynamic range on the Samsung, but I do prefer the sharpness of the main camera on the iPhone. With the telephoto camera we have kind of the same situation, and in terms of sharpness they are very close. And now extreme low light situation, ultra wide camera. Look at this window and the wall. The Samsung is just horrible, but on the same picture, if we get closer to the center, I do prefer the sharpness of the Samsung right here. That's weird, guys. On the main camera module we do see more sharpness on the iPhone and totally black background, whereas Samsung is trying to push the shadows and we see some colorful noise. 108 megapixel. If you expose correctly and you surpass the noise, you hide it in the shadows, you get pretty nice pictures. But if you push the shadows and you raise those up, you can get a ton of noise. So expose properly and you'll get decent results. 3x telephoto cameras are both looking not great, but Apple is actually looking like an oil painting, and I do prefer Samsung in this case. And now let's get to the night portraits. They are both not great, but I do prefer the iPhone's picture in terms of white balance, background separation, and overall sharpness. Also, the subject separation in portrait mode is really good. I don't have any complaints. Maybe Samsung is a touch better right here, but it's pretty negligible. Night portraits are kinda similar on both devices. I do prefer a less noisy picture on the iPhone. Also, the background blur is better on the iPhone as well, and to my eye, the iPhone looks less artificially kind of plasticky. And Samsung is totally over-sharpened and much noisier. And 3x portraits are awful, to be honest. The Samsung is just oil painting and iPhone is a touch better, but still it's not good. Just use 1x cameras for night portraits. And since we were in Sahara Desert, I have decided to make some night sky photography because we had no clouds or something. I used the night mode on the iPhone. We just put the phones onto a chair and used the timer not to introduce some shakiness. And also the Pro mode on the Samsung, 30 seconds of exposure, and I tried autofocus and manual focus into infinity, but still the results are like so. On the iPhone we can even see the Milky Way, which is cool. And just out of curiosity, here is the shot on the Sony a7S III full frame camera with Sony 24mm f1.4G master lens, 20 seconds of exposure, comparing to iPhone 13 Pro Max 30 seconds of exposure on the ultra wide lens. And also I did capture this shot with the Sony 24mm f1.4. I'll have a separate review on this lens soon. And speaking about the desert, you can clearly see that I'm holding Honor Magic 3, and soon on the channel there will be a big comparison with the iPhone 13 Pro Max. So guys, now it's time to conclude. I can say that Samsung has a slight edge over the iPhone in terms of stills, but it's like 2 to 3 to 5% from time to time. 108 megapixels is a great mode, we have a lot of detail and sharpness in it, and it's pretty cool to have it in a smartphone. But overall, as a camera system, comparing video and photo quality, I would prefer the iPhone because the difference in photos is not that big, but in video, it's pretty substantial. If you have a different opinion, guys, please let me know in the comment section below. Also, if you did enjoy this video, please smash the like and subscribe buttons as I say in my videos and hit the notifications bell. Also, here is my Instagram and a couple of videos for you to watch next. My name is Oleg Nikitin, you've been watching No Limits On channel from Russia and Morocco with love. See you in my next video from Morocco, I guess. Take care, bye.